Hello and welcome to the latest in our travel agent learning library. Today we're going to talk all about VBT Bicycling Vacations with our VBT Biking 101. My name is Glenn Letch. I'm your National Accounts Manager here at both Country Walkers and VBT. Been experienced in the industry for quite a long time. Actually grew up in the travel industry. I've had experience in the hospitality field of hotel management, travel agency ownership and management, and now happy to be part of a very fun and exciting product that is quite unique in the industry. So about our company, we're part of the Xanterra Travel Collection. You might know them from such brands as Windstar Cruises, Grand Canyon Railway, and of course the Park Lodge Management, as well as Holiday Vacations. We're happy to kind of run our own business though from Vermont with our Xanterra Travel Collection ownership behind us and giving us that worldwide support that we need and strength as a company. We do have staff located in other parts around the world also. I myself base in Southwest Florida in a city called Cape Coral, but I am available and travel throughout the United States and other parts of the world as well. We have two great brands, of course, our Country Walkers for walking and VBT Bicycling Vacations for bicycling. We have a total of 119 active, immersive, because we like to do a lot more beyond walking and biking on our tours. And those are available worldwide. So not necessarily destinations, because we have several areas where we offer tours in many different ways, whether it's guided walking, guided biking, self-guided, etc. We do have a great staff. I'm happy to work with these folks for a very long time. And we make those up with some great tour designers. So the people that set out usually 2 years ahead of a product coming to market, and they'll go and gather all the details on hotels, trails, logistics, etc. And then they'll work with the rest of our product team, our air department, to design out the rest of the tour. We have our support staff, so they're the people that make sure everything happens the way it should. So your guests get on tour and their bikes are there, their lodgings handled, their transfers are available to them on the air packages, etc. We have our great tour consultants. You'll talk to them on a regular basis, and they're the ones who are going to help you really hone in and make sure that you have the right tour for your clients. Some tours are rated a little different. We are pretty clear on how we rate them, but those tour consultants can help beyond that and really take and help you drill down on the best option for your guests. We have our air agents and our customer service who you'd be involved with beyond the initial booking, and they would be, again, putting all those logistics together, answering any questions, making sure your documents are flowing out the right way. And then what we're most renowned for as our staff and company and all our reviews are our fantastic local guides and leaders. So for the purpose of our VBT discussion, we call them leaders, and we'll talk more about them as we go through the presentation. First, want to just mention that we have some wonderful videos that are available. I'm going to show you briefly, but I'll leave them up to you to follow up and find those within our travel agent pages and our website, only because they don't show that great on a presentation like this. But by showing and using those videos, you really would capture the essence of what we do. It takes you through, it shows you some footage, shows you the type of clientele that takes a VBT bicycling vacation. For 2020, we've made a few changes. If you've worked with us in the past, which many of you have, we used to offer some walking product that was attached to the VBT brand. For 2020, we removed that. We actually packed it up and moved it over to Country Walkers as a different style of travel available to Country Walkers guests. What that left us with at VBT was some wonderful bicycle options that are only for bicycling, and we associate VBT with that now and moving forward. We do have some great tour offerings, still 53 different tour offerings that you could choose from for your clients, and anybody that previously had walked with VBT has been well informed and taken care of over at the Country Walkers brand. And we've introduced some self-guided bicycling vacations as well. So what that leaves us with is 3 distinct styles of travel. We have our traditional guided bicycling vacation. These are small group experiences. They're typically no more than 20 on a tour, and they're land-based, so all of the lodging would be included in the tour, and all the movements would stay on land. You wouldn't board a vessel, which is our next style, which is our guided bike and boat tours. So as in the picture there, we see our sailboat, which is phenomenal, up in northern Holland. We have bike and barge options, labeled bike and boat, but it is a barge that's retrofitted for guest comfort, and it's essentially like a floating bed and breakfast. And then we have our bike and river cruises, which we added last year, and they sold quite well, and again, we're added inventory, and those sold well again for 2020. And that's with Emerald Waterways. So when it's waterways, the big differences are, number one, you'll get on the vessel and that's it. You don't have to change hotels like you would on a land tour. It's a bike tour, so behind the opportunity to experience the water and everything that goes with the type of vessel that you choose, you're getting our full VBT bike tour. So when guests get off at a port, there's our support vehicle, there's our bikes that they're going to use throughout their week with us, and our equipment, and everything is essentially a VBT bike tour. Just again, added water to that. And then we have our new self-guided bicycling vacation. So this is really some independent explorations. They're designed for someone that is a bit more savvy than maybe some other guests could get away with on our traditional guided experiences. We'll talk about that a little bit as we go through the presentation. So where do we go? VBT, pretty good swath of the world here that we offer tours. Of course, we do tours around the perimeter of the United States, places like our backyard, which is Vermont, Maine, Cape Cod. We go down south to Florida, Mississippi. We head over to Arizona. We go up to California wine country. We have Vancouver offerings in British Columbia. We have Canadian Rockies. We have Quebec. We go down south. We head over to Chile, and we have a wonderful bike tour experience there as well. Far away is Vietnam, South Africa, and you can see a great deal that we do is throughout Europe, top to bottom, side to side, as well as UK. Spain, Portugal, all the places that people want to travel on in a much different way and experience that local area from the seat of a bicycle. So what do you get when you do a guided tour? Here's the core inclusions that we provide on each and every tour. No exceptions. These are always going to be part of our product and what your guests will experience. So we have our local leaders. So I emphasize the word local. These are bilingual tour leaders. So they're going to be there. They're going to handle all the logistics of the bikes, all the movement of the bikes when the guests aren't on them. They'll handle any repairs that are required. They'll work out all the going to and from and movement of luggage when we're changing hotels, coordinating dinner when it's included dinner, as well as, again, sitting and teaching the guests about their local area. We have our great VBT equipment. So we primarily use Fuji bikes throughout our whole system of tours. And we have different bike options, which I'll show you in just a minute. In addition, we provide a helmet. We provide a bag for use, which is great for putting various gear in. We provide a lock, so when guests are not necessarily with the group and maybe want to park their bike and explore a bit on their own, they can lock up the bike and not worry about that. We also provide all the other safety equipment that's mounted to the bike. So we have reflectors, bells, mirrors, etc. Anything to make the guests comfortable. I always tell people that I can pretty much wear anything that I've got on, fly over or ride into a VBT tour, maybe add some padding to my shorts or pants and put on some bike gloves and I'm good to go because everything's going to be ready for me. We have some great lodging that we involve in our tours. So always try to capture the spirit of the area that you're traveling to. So we have small boutique lodges, family-owned inns. I always like to say you remember your lodging when you take one of our tours. As one that travels a lot and stays in a lot of different lodges that maybe aren't as memorable, it's really nice to head on our tours and see what our designers have put together and made work for these particular itineraries. We do also on meals, we always will include breakfast, and we have a mix of about half of your lunches and dinners. That could vary. It could be more in some cases. For instance, on the waterways, we have, depending on the product, you could have many more meals that are included as a group. What's nice, a VBT tour focuses on a bit of independence. So having that independent dining option on some of the nights is really, really great. I love being with our groups, but it's kind of nice to do your own thing at times. And if you're in Ireland and you see this great pub with some music, and it may not even be large enough to fit your whole group, it would be nice to drift off on one of the nights and really take in the local color and sarcasm and whatever else goes on in Ireland that makes you want to come back. We have great activities, so we're not always on a bicycle. We use the bicycle as a means to get between these activities and experiences, always very participatory, and we want to get the guests really fully immersed in the area they're traveling to. And when they're part of the itinerary, there's no extra charge. So if it's listed as an inclusion in the tour, that will be it. It's part of the tour cost. If there are other items, other experiences that come up that are real options, so typically those are maybe things that we don't think everybody would want to do. Well, why put that in a tour that if everybody we necessarily wouldn't want to do it, but some people may want to. We'll have those extra, and those are all handled locally by the leaders on the tour. And then our great support. So there's always a support vehicle available. Anytime someone we're on the bikes, there's a support vehicle within range. This comes in handy if someone either doesn't want to ride at all for a particular segment or the entire day. They could opt to go in the support vehicle. If we're not moving, hotels, obviously they could stay behind and not do that. But I always say, even if they're not riding, it's kind of nice to get in the vehicle because we're going to include those other activities and other experiences with the group, that even if maybe physically they're not feeling the ride, that they'll be there and get to enjoy those other elements of the itinerary. It also will sweep the route. So if someone's on a bike ride and they're really, something happens, something sudden happens to them, or they really perhaps run out of gas, so to speak, that vehicle will safely pick them up and bring them to the next stop without any problem. I've been on tours where there's been nobody in the van all week, and I've been on tours where there's several different people in the van during the week. And the ones that do, you'll often pull into town and you'll see them mingling around in the markets, or maybe sitting there having a nice cold beer and waving to you and saying, "How was your ride?" So there's no shame in it. We call it support vehicle, and that's what it is. So if we look at VBT in color, some of the images from our tour, wonderful scenery. We're off the beaten path. We're not trying to ride through busy cities where people are uncomfortable, staying in some great lodging. This happens to be Basin Harbor Lodge, where we stay on our Vermont tours, and we happen to use that as a company outing spot once a year, and it's always a great time. I personally stay there, and it's just a classic, beautiful inn set on Lake Champlain. Of course, when I mention we're off the bike, down below, you'll see some great camaraderie with varying guests. People come in, they may not know each other, but after a couple of days of riding together and experiencing the tour, they're acting as one. And again, we continue with the scenery. Up in the corner is our e-bike, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But you can see the peacefulness of being on a cycle as you ride through, whatever country you're traveling to. So a little more about our bicycles. We do include these. What we'll do is we will take the height of the guest. So we want to make sure we have the frame match. So we're not putting a 6'4" gentleman on a frame that's fit for a 5-foot tall female or whatever the combo may be. So we offer a hybrid bike on all the tours. We offer road bikes on most of the tours, and we offer e-bikes on just about every tour. We currently have 2 exceptions to that, one being Vietnam and then the other being Maine, but Maine may shift this year. They've approved them in the national park, so we anticipate maybe getting those up and running this year. If not, for 2021 they'll be available. And again, when you're requesting the tour, when you're putting down the deposit, you'll want to select one of these options for the guests. So they should come in knowing what type of bike they'd like. It's not the end of the world if they need to change it, with the exception of e-bikes, just because they can be a little more limited on some tours. We always say if it's an e-bike, that's a good question to ask right up front during the reservation process. What will happen is they'll get on tour, these bikes will be ready for them, fit to their size, all ready to go, and they'll do a warm-up ride and make any adjustments from there. The leaders will handle all that. So just how we use technology, and I emphasize the e-bike, we take them into our consumer shows often, and these are consumer travel agent shows that we do. And I always like to bring an e-bike in because we have a lot of people that will come up, and keep in mind these are shows that have a great range of types of people, active, somewhat active, not active, etc. People that know how to ride a bike, because everyone's probably learned how to ride a bike in their life, but they may not have been on the bike in 20 years or longer. So they'll walk up, and we have that e-bike there, and they'll do one of the traditional, hey, not for me. Then you kind of point out a few of the nice features that we have. Hey, that may be for me. Or I've ran into recently a lot of past guests, like distant past guests of VBT, that had thought that they had to give up on this type of touring in their life because they maybe couldn't keep up, getting a little older, making day-to-day riding a little more difficult. So first we have our e-bike technology. It essentially requires pedaling, so it's not cheating like some people will say. You got to pedal to make it go. But by pedaling and keeping that nice cadence, you can engage this quiet battery-powered motor. You don't hear it really. You don't really even feel it, other than you feel the ease of pedaling, meaning that you're going to keep pedaling the same, but as you come into resistance, it's going to kick in. It's going to help you get up that hill a lot easier. It's going to help you take and ride with someone that maybe you want to ride with. And it's also going to help when you do get tired, which can happen. Again, keeping in mind that not everybody in our lives go out on a bike every day. So the real benefits of an e-bike, it introduces people, as I mentioned, people that never would have thought of doing this. Maybe we have friends or couples or so forth, that are family, that one is a real avid cyclist, one's not. The one that's not would never consider this. You show them the e-bike, you tell them how it works, they consider it. It equalizes the abilities, so you have people at different abilities. They can ride together a whole lot easier than they could using a traditional non-electronic bike, like a hybrid or a road, and it extends the career. So I mentioned people that maybe had come and traveled with us in the past that have given up on this type of touring just out of the realm that they can't do it, and now they're able to either come back to us, or maybe they're thinking this is my last tour, which I've had on a tour with me. A couple that did that, they said this was going to be it. They did the e-bike and they said, you know what, you have us for probably 10 more years now, because we're much more comfortable taking the tour. It's what we love to do, and we're going to look at tours that we had previously just crossed off the list because it had hill or there was some sort of terrain issue that was worrying them. So my biggest advice on e-bikes, if a client's asking about it, it usually means there's some concern. Get them an e-bike. They won't regret it. Worst case is, if they really want a bit more of a challenge, they can take and turn it off and ride it without the battery. It just becomes a much heavier bike. It's a very smooth rider, but we do recommend at least using some battery, at least keeping it engaged for the times that you need it. And then I did mention the availability. So we just want to make sure that we have that available on that particular departure, because we do have to limit them. These are a bigger bike. They're a little bit bigger to move around. Every night the batteries come off, they get charged, which the leaders all handle, but there's some nuances to it that are different than handling regular bikes. We do have some tours and destinations that we can handle all e-bikes at once. So ask your tour consultant and they'll be happy to share, what we can do and can't do for your guests. The last bit of technology we use, which I think is a true game changer, if we think back to MapQuest, and now we rely on our GPS in our cars, our phones, etc. It makes life a bit safer out there, a bit more enjoyable as we're riding in our car. So now let's move that over to the handlebars of the bike. So we provide the mount. The guest would bring a smartphone or device. It doesn't even have to have service on it. It just needs to have a GPS connectivity. It won't use any data. So you do need the data availability, connect to Wi-Fi to download the routes. Essentially after that, we recommend shutting off the data and shutting off the cell capabilities, particularly if you're out of the country where a lot of plans don't cover it. And then it will guide the guests on that route. So if it's Monday morning and it's day 1 a.m. route, they hit the button and now they're able to enjoy the ride heads up, because it's telling them up here, take a right, up there, take a left. Why it's important is when it's a group tour, we're together, but you ride at your own pace. So you're not if you're a fast rider, you're not bogged down by slower riders. If you're slower riders, you're not intimidated by faster riders. We all are going to ride the route. We'll ride it at our own pace, and we'll be together at times for those other off the bike experiences, snack stops, etc. And again, I emphasize no data. And what's really cool, when you're done, you can take and save the route. You can share it. You can put it on your Facebook. You can let your family and friends, your grandchildren, your kids, whoever you want to know what you've been up to that day. It also is a great reference. If you want to think back after the tour and say, boy, that was a lot of miles that I felt like a ride. I really feel good about myself. You have a record of everything that you rode, little maps, etc. It's really cool technology. It's included on every tour. We provide all the linkage, everything ahead of time to prepare for that. And then once on tour, the leaders will take and adjust everyone's phone, give them a hand getting it rolling. We do provide the traditional route notes as well, always, just as a backup. But I see more and more people out on our tours using the Ride with GPS. what's a typical guided group day look like? So we're together as a group and we're going to have a nice breakfast. Breakfast always included. Every night that you stay with VBT, you're going to have breakfast. And we're not talking a couple of muffins and and a warm cup of juice. You're going to have really nice breakfast. Depending on the area, it's going to include those great local ingredients and so forth. And that's done as a group typically. We're also going to then take and have our daily route review, often right after breakfast, usually in the same room. This is where the guides are going to really run through what's going on today. They'll sometimes pass out the itinerary again so that everybody knows what to expect. We never try to work too far ahead of our day, because what I feel like on Monday, I may feel differently on Tuesday. What I feel like Monday morning, I may feel differently Monday afternoon. So we lay it all out so everybody knows what to expect that day. They're reminded of it from, their itineraries that they've been given. And then we head out on our AM rides. So sometimes we're just saddling right up on our bikes and leaving from the hotel. Other times we might get in a vehicle and transfer over to an area where we're gonna then get off, unload the bikes, and head on out. We try to keep you on the bike as much as possible, but we'll do it only when it's really safe and comfortable. So often when we're switching hotels, say we're leaving a hotel and moving to the next hotel, usually after a couple of nights, we'll take and, typically that's when we'll have the bikes loaded up and we'll proceed to a different area to ride in. It's really well coordinated. Guests never move their luggage themselves, other than maybe to the door of their hotel room. They never handle their bikes on and off a trailer or vehicle. So it's all done by those leaders. We then take and we'll have breaks included. So I mentioned snack stops. They can be cultural stops. They can be food experiences. They can be anything that we're going to include. And we try to get those in so that we're not driving just in one big long straight line. We're going to have those breaks. Then we're on to a lunch. So I mentioned about half of the lunches are going to be done as a group. On lunch, it could be a picnic lunch, could be a local restaurant. I've had on my bike and boat tour, which was a barge, we had lunch on the barge. So it does vary by itinerary, but we always like to keep our guests well fueled. And we do like to provide some very unique settings for that as well. Then we have our PM rides. So this is where we tend to maybe have a few people that aren't going to do it more so than the AM. Usually AM has a big full participation. People are raring to go. PM rides, maybe that's where people might opt out a little bit, and they could opt out again at lunchtime. They could opt out during that afternoon ride if they're not feeling it. And if they're opting out, the leaders will work to gauge the group of what everyone would like to do otherwise, and when all possible, keep the guests doing something else. We always have some nice free time at the end of the day, so we're not jumping off the bike and walking in and sitting on our padded shorts at the dinner table. Good free time is nice, relax. A lot of times guests will gather, maybe have a cocktail before getting together, just relax, get your feet back and so forth. And then we've got dinner. So if it's group dinner, it's going to be either at the hotel that you're staying in or at a local restaurant. It's going to capture that local experience. It's a multi-course meal. We would typically, in just about every tour, include a toast type of beer or wine to get started, and then guests would proceed, and if they wanted anything else, they could order that, at their own cost. On to self-guided. We're really excited about this new way of traveling for us. This is done off demand. So we've had people that really like what we do, but they're not necessarily into the group experience. They want to maybe be a little bit more flexible at times during their itinerary. They like having showing up and having that VBT equipment available to them. They like the idea of having great support. They really like our nice lodging and the organization that we provide. So we'll provide support in the form of an orientation, a bike fitting with the local host. So these are local to where the guests will travel. And then they'll also coordinate the luggage transfers. So again, guests aren't moving their luggage on the back of their bike. It's all going to be done for them. We have that great VBT bike equipment, helmet, bag, etc. We do offer e-bikes as well on self-guided. We also have a lock available. The great lodging. We provide a road book. So we have the ride with GPS, which I explained before, and then we do a road book. So this is customized to that particular guest and where they want to travel. As you can see, Jane Doe is all booked up under reservation 111111, but they'll get a nice road book. It's going to have some insider tips and like great dining options and other points of interest. Of course, at the lodging, we're going to include breakfast each day. Otherwise, we include fewer meals are not really included because it really takes away from the self-guided experience, leaving it open to what those guests are feeling like. So just a reference, again, no VBT leaders. So you'll have that orientation. You'll have some background support if anything major happens. But if something like a chain comes off, a flat tire, brake adjustment, those guests will be oriented on how to do that, but they're responsible for doing that. Anything major, you know, there's an incident with the bike or something isn't working right, or you know, in a major way, so on an e-bike, or God forbid it gets stolen or something, you know, then that background support will be there. We do set departure dates, so this is a little different than our self-guided walking, which has range of dates done on request. We wanted to make sure that we have everything in place for the guests that want to do these tours. So we really had to dial in some set departure dates. Of course, our great VBT equipment. We only launched with 5 destinations, and I say only in a really good way. What it allows us to do is to go into areas where we already have a presence, and we had this developed by a fully guided product director who took this project over, almost a year and a half, 2 years ago, and has focused in on making it a great product. And we wanted to make sure that when it gets to your guests and they're out on tour, that everything's handled in a great way. If we launch with 20 destinations, it might be more difficult to do that. You know, sometimes it's a little too big in a launch to do too many at one time. Our plan is for 5 more itineraries in 2021, and again, keep expanding that product. If we compare it to our self-guided walking, which has 16 itineraries, that's probably a realistic goal for this product, you know, over the foreseeable future. It's perfect for small groups, honeymooners, couples, friends, with anybody with a nice independent spirit. We do offer self-guided Air Plus, so these are air packages. Because we have the set departure dates, we're able to package in some air and extra hotel nights. We have, again, the small repair requirement, and it is great for independence. So what we've had so far for people booking these tours is past VBT guests, guests that previously had not been interested in our tours. They loved the concept, but they didn't like the whole group aspect of it. So it's really opened up that avenue for us, and our hope is that will continue, and maybe over time we'll have guests that will do a little bit of both. Bit about our air packages. I always like to include this because it is part of our VBT offerings. So they're available for either brand, by the way, and they're essentially the same. We label them slightly different, but they include international flights, great pricing on the whole package. You often can compare our price to just the cost of the air ticket, but you're getting everything to the right of that. So transfers on either side of the flight, so arrival and departure transfers, those are all coordinated. We have a hotel, so you're going to get a one-night pre-tour hotel and a one-night post-tour hotel, all coordinated. All the movement to that hotel is handled, all the movement from that hotel is handled on either side. We also include breakfast on those days. So they're not guided, they're independent days, but we're going to include breakfast. And what will typically, the way it would work is the leaders would then show up in the hotel the following morning, so the day the tour is due to begin, and everyone gathers in that hotel. So people that didn't take our air package would arrive there. People that did take the air package would be in place, and then we'll 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10 we'll be leaving that hotel and heading out, because a lot of those hotels tend to be in the cities that we fly into. Our overall modus operandi is not to be in cities riding bikes. We're out to the outskirts. We also offer extensions, so you can extend these packages on either side, in most cases by 2 nights typically. So you could then take, your 6-night international tour and you add in the air nights, so there's 7 nights. And then if you did, you'd get the extra 2 hotel nights, there's 9 nights. You could easily get these up to 13 nights, top to bottom, with several nights on either side of our tour to explore on their own. It's a wonderful way to package it all together at a great price. The other thing I'll note just is that we do offer customization as well as upgrades available. So one could do business or premium economy, which is quite popular these days, and also customize. So I want to go into one city out of another. We'll still provide the hotels in our core city around the tour, but we can coordinate the air, and then the only thing you would coordinate for your guests would be any movement to get to that actual city where the tour is going to begin and where our pre and post hotel night is. So a little bit more about our customers, who goes on our tours. 50 plus, pretty well educated, adventurous, decent income, but again, someone operate with us at a lower income than that, but that's kind of our median. We get a lot of solo travelers. They enjoy being active, varying levels of fitness. So we like to say that you can be active, but you don't have to be a super athlete to be on our tours, because you're riding at your own pace. We have e-bikes. The general overall feel is that we're not necessarily, all out here in a race each day. We're enjoying the rides, taking in the sights and scenes from the seat of a bicycle. Couple other hints on how you could find the right client for VBT: bike clubs, different organizations. You've got fraternal organizations. You've got, again, I would say add it to the destination options. You might have someone coming in and saying, I really want to go to England. Well, have you ever considered this? Maybe they've been to England or Italy or France or the United States in different ways. Have you ever done it from the seat of a bicycle? Add it to their mind, add it to their options. Look for signs. So if you see, hey, I came in and I just did the this bike challenge or this bike ride, or even if it's for some sort of a charity, they'll ride it. Someone may come right into your office and park their bike outside. There's a good candidate for a bike tour. Share our videos, so they're available on our web pages. Feel free to share those. I find that spending 1 minute and 43 seconds goes a long way to really telling about our product. We do offer agent benefits. 10% commission for agents is where we start at. We do have some other opportunities for preferred status, and we do do that on the base of the tour only price. So we don't include commission on some of the lower, very low, no margin type of options like solo supplements, air packages, travel protection. Now we love to see you get out on a tour, and we offer 20% off of the base tour cost for agents, and that's in lieu of any commissions. So I've had quite a few agents that have been able to join us that really love this type of product. And what better way than to get out and really take it in. So if you want to work with us, which we hope you will, you could call us. We have dedicated lines for agents. You could email us. We could take and book online. So we do have online booking, but you must register your agency first. So you'll want to go on and do that. I do recommend, if you've never worked with us before, then online booking should come secondary. Talk to our staff first. Make sure that we're all in sync on what we're selling, that it's the right fit for your client, and so forth. Once you establish that, you can then use online for future bookings and also to manage your existing bookings. Also, we have my contact. I'm here to help. I like to say I'm the person that can connect you in different ways here. My direct line is there. Email is always really effective for me because even if I'm out and about, you'll be able to reach me by email. We do have those great web pages, so vbt.com/travel agents, countrywalkers.com/travel agents, and they're loaded with information, including those other learning modules that you could learn more about. Other ways that we engage travel agents, meaning how you work with us, what documents to expect, etc. It's all loaded within those pages. We've recently updated those for agents. We have a great downloadable guide that you could either save or print if you wanted to us, a quick reference as well, and that's available for download there also. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you were able to learn a lot. It's a wonderful product, as I mentioned, and I'm here to help you grow your business, handle your existing business, and talk to you about anything that I could help you with our company. Thank you very much.